Hello, welcome to Do It Yourself with Wayne. Our channel is all about teaching you how to do things yourself to save money. And if you're interested in saving money, subscribe to our channel. We'll help you with that. Now today we're on a little different tangent than normal, and we're doing things about how to apply lettering that you cut with a Cricut cutter. And we've watched a lot of videos online, and some of the things we see, it's right. I'm not going to say anybody's doing it wrong, but maybe I can show you a better way to do it. So today we're going to talk about how you prepare your sign or your piece for applying your vinyl. We're going to talk about how you tape it and make sure that it's straight and in position. Then we're going to talk about how you squeegee it, how you remove the tape, and then how you squeegee it again. And then also in our next video, we're going to be talking about how you apply lettering with an outline around the lettering. It's a little different technique we'll be showing you in our next video. So stay tuned for that. So today on this video, I've got several pieces here. We're going to show you a little different technique for each of these three pieces on how we install them. So let's get started. I'm going to do the easy one first. I'm going to do this little house. Now, one thing that we do, we always clean the substrate that we're going to apply the vinyl with alcohol. I just take my alcohol, squirt it on here. Take my towel, shop towel, paper towel, it don't matter, just some kind of something that's not, relatively clean, and just clean it. Now, one thing I warn you about, at this point, there's no oils on the piece that you're applying your vinyl to, but there is on your hands, okay? Don't be touching this with your fingers, because even the oil from your fingers can cause your vinyl not to adhere well over time. So once you clean it with your alcohol, don't touch it with your fingers, okay? Now, I'm going to apply this little house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it down here where I want it to go. I'm going to take some masking tape. Now, one thing that's different, a lot of the videos that we've watched, in fact, I think all of them, they tell you to take the wax paper backing off. I would suggest that you not do that. They suggest you do the taco shell thing and do this number, and you kind of eyeball it and you stick it down. I'm going to suggest you not do that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I think there's a better way. So don't take the backing off. Lay it down where you want it. Take a piece of masking tape. You can use other kinds of tape if you've got it, but something to tape it down. And once you got it taped in place, take your rulers. I had another video, I talked about tools. Rulers are a big deal. Make sure you've got several. Measure this thing on both sides, left and right, and make sure it's centered up and exactly where you want it. And when you're happy with where it's at, this is where it's going to be. If it's not right, you can pull it up from your masking tape. You can reposition it, stick the masking tape again, and move it around if you need to. But this gives you the ability to make sure that the vinyl that you're applying is straight and even before you commit to put it to the whatever substrate you're applying it to. So after you get it here and you're happy with where it's at, flip it up, pull your backing off. Now this is the wax paper backing that's coming off. Just throw that away because you don't need it anymore. Now this has the app tape on the top, has your vinyl on the bottom, the sticky side is on the bottom. When you pull it down, this is very important, okay? This is very important. Don't let the vinyl touch the substrate that you're applying it to until your squeegee pushes it down, okay? If it touches it before, it's more likely to be crooked, it's a lot more likely to have bubbles, it's more likely to have wrinkles, and you're not going to be happy with it. And you're going to end up pulling it up and doing it again, wasting money. We're all about saving money. So don't let it touch the substrate until the squeegee pushes it down. So start a little bit at the edge and just push a little bit of the edge down just to get it started. Now at that point, hold your squeegee at a 45-degree angle, and I want you to start kind of in the center with your squeegee at an angle and push to the side, toward me, toward the side that's up, and out. Do that center out all the way up until you're finished. Good firm pressure, taking your time. At the end, you can go straight, get your corners at an angle. okay? It's very important that you work center out, good firm pressure. I'm gonna say it again. This is very important. Don't let the vinyl touch the substrate that you're applying it to until the squeegee pushes it down. I couldn't begin to tell you how many times I've had to pull vinyl off and start over because it touched the substrate that I was applying it to before it was supposed to. Only let it touch down when the squeegee pushes it. Now to take it off, just grab the corner of your app tape. Keep it low and flat as you pull it. Pull it all off, you throw your app tape away. In my previous video, I talked about buying app tape in bulk, so don't be afraid to throw this stuff away. And there's your little house, all straight. And I didn't really measure this well, so it might be a little bit crooked, but that's how you apply something to your substrate and you make sure that it's straight. I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen something that somebody has done and it's a little bit crooked. Now, I don't know about you, but that annoys me. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is something that's uneven. Like, I want my name, but I want it at an angle. I want it exactly at that angle. Well, how do you get it exactly at that angle? If you see, I put a line at the bottom, okay? That line is straight and square in relationship to the text that says my name. The line starts right where the edge of the M is at. It ends right at the end of the E. That gives me something to work with for measuring. Now here again, I'm going to go ahead and clean this whole thing right quick because I'm going to be using it before I'm through here. But always clean your substrate with alcohol good before you start. And don't touch it with your fingers. And a lot of times I just wipe my fingers with my towel. That helps get oil off my fingers, but still, don't touch your substrate with your fingers. All right. Now I got my name, and like I said, I put this line at the bottom, and I'm going to use that as a reference, and you'll see why in a few minutes, to make sure this is straight. Now, I'm going to apply it right here. I'm going to take my rulers, and I'm going to put it a 1/2 inch from the bottom. I'll pay a little more attention here than I did on the first one. And that line is exactly a 1/2 inch from the bottom of my corrugated plastic. Doesn't matter what you're applying it to. It could be a book, a plate, a coffee mug, or whatever. But make sure it's where you want it. Pardon me. Now, if left to right is a problem, measure your distance from the end of that line to the edges this way to make sure it's centered up on the item that you're applying it to. Then when you're happy, take your masking tape, stick it across the top. I think that moved just a little bit. Let's see what I did here. Just about a 32nd of an inch, but I'm going to leave it there. But just know that it is off just a little bit because it shifted. If I was doing this for a customer, I'd pull it back up, I'd readjust that 1/32 of an inch and make it perfectly straight. Here again, same way as the house. The backing, the wax paper backing is still on my vinyl. I pull it off. I don't let this touch the media that I'm applying it to until the squeegee stick pushes it down. Do a little bit of the edge straight, and then just kind of work center out. And if you got something long like this, in the center you kind of push straight, but on the edges you work center out, okay? Just a little bit different there, work center out. And you come all the way down. Now if you notice, I didn't put the line at the bottom all the way down. I don't need that on what I'm doing. So I didn't squeegee that down. I leave it on the app tape and I pull it off. And there we go. I got my name exactly straight in relation to how I wanted it. Now something like this, if you eyeball it's not a big deal, but if it is a big deal, that's how you can get it square and straight in reference to whatever you're applying it to. And you just put that line at the bottom, you use that as a reference, you just don't leave it on the item. If you do squeegee that line down, just pull it off. We still need to do one last squeegee when we're through to make sure that everything has good adhesion. Now one last thing I'm going to show you how to do is something long. Some of you folks can do long stuff like this, some of you can't. With my sign shop, I do a lot of boat registration numbers. Pardon me. And they're long. Because they're so long, I instruct my customers to apply them differently because I don't apply these for my customers. I cut them and they go apply it to their own boat. But over the years, I've only had one customer came back that ever had a problem after I gave him a tutorial. What you do is you lay it on, put it on your boat about where you want it. Take a piece of masking tape and put it right in the middle. Then you take another piece of masking tape, put it over here on the end. Do not put masking tape on this end. Now here again, just like before, clean it first, okay? Clean it with alcohol. Don't touch it with your fingers. Now you put your long piece where you want it, then you measure it. Measure top to bottom, left to right, make sure it's exactly where you want it. Pardon me. Now what I always tell my folks with my boats, and you know, some of you may have this, you know, boats, there's no straight lines, everything is curves. So after you apply it, you can measure it, make sure it's straight, but then back away from it and look at it from a little bit of a distance and see if it looks good. If it looks good, that's where you want to leave it. If not, adjust it. But if you've got something like a pontoon boat or whatever else that you have straight lines, you can measure it, make sure it's straight, and then, you know, wherever you got it taped down is where it stays. Pardon me. Now, like I said, you tape the center and one edge. Now over here, you pull the wax paper backing off one side, and this is old and I've used it for examples many times and it's starting to give me a little bit of trouble here. Well, like I said, I've used this for examples a lot of times and it's been a little bit of an aggravation. Let's see if I can get a little bit of this wax paper backing off of here yet. All right, now you cut that piece of wax paper backing off and just get it out of your way. And still struggling a little bit here with some that wants to stay on here. Well, I'm just going to leave it. All right. Now, like I said before, with these, don't let this touch what you're putting it on. And I just touched it with my fingers. I told you not to do that, but don't. Make sure on these long things that on this end you got a good grip with your hand. I always tell my people doing this on the boat because they're outside. I mean, I'm in here and I got my lights, I got my nice table. They're outside, the dog's barking, the kids are wanting to talk to them, you know, the wind's blowing, the boat's here, and you know, make sure you got a good grip at this end. And make sure that when you pull it down, these letters do not touch the boat or whatever you're applying it to until the squeegee pushes it down. And here again, good firm pressure, center out. Okay, just like that. Working center out just on this end. Now at this point in time, the app tape that's on the top of your letters has those stuck to your boat or whatever you're applying to. So you can take this tape off because it's not being used anymore because the tape here is stuck to your workpiece. So just take that off. You pull this side back. You pull the wax paper backing off this end. And here again, it's wanting to be a little bit aggravating for me. Like I said, this is old and I couldn't tell you how many times I've used this as examples for customers. Well, we're just going to do this. All right, now same thing on this side. Make sure you got a good grip here because it's so long. You don't want it to touch down. You don't want it to touch back to itself. Don't let it touch the piece, just like over here, until the squeegee pushes it down. This is very important. Okay. Good firm pressure, working center out. You can go this way. You can go this way, it doesn't matter, but good firm pressure, center out. Okay, when you're through, just do end to end. Then you pull this off, and my app tape, my wax paper backing is still on there. It's giving me some trouble here. Now that letter just came off. But you just pull your tape all the way off. And it's hard to see white on white, but it's on there. And then the last thing you want to do is take your squeegee, squeegee it down real good again, and you're done. That's how you would do something really long to make it easier to make sure you get it straight. Now, I'm going to show you what we got here. It's hard to see this because it's white letters on a white board. I guess I should have used a different color, but it's something that I had. like I said, I've had this for quite a while, and I generally don't stick it down, but I use it for my tutorial for my boat people that do boat registration numbers. So it's been tossed around and beat around quite a bit over the years, so that's why it was giving me trouble, or over the last 6 to 8 months or so. So anyway, that's how you would install something that's real long to still get it straight and not have your wrinkles and bubbles. Now, one last thing I want to show you is how you get an air bubble out from under your vinyl. Just as an example, let's just say there's an air bubble right there. If you take your X-Acto knife and just prick right at the edge of the air bubble, just right at the edge of it, then you can take your squeegee and come to the bottom and just squeegee your way up until you push that air right out that little hole that you pricked with your X-Acto knife. That'll get the air out. The little prick from your X-Acto knife will be virtually invisible, and unless you show it to somebody, they'll probably never see it. So anyway, that's our tutorial for installing vinyl, and we did a previous one about how to weed and tape up stuff, and we're going to be doing another one about how to do lettering where you have an outline color around your text. So stay tuned for that. And we'd just like to say thank you for visiting Do It Yourself with Wayne, and we hope you have a great day.